said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Be water, my friend.
Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Odd times, crazy times, but I'm at home, so why not jump on some podcasts? Let's do it.
Exactly. You know, this is the best time to catch some of people like you. You know, you have a lot on their plate and are usually busy running around, taking care of your studios and your business ventures and your fitness training. And now this is an opportunity to finally record an episode. So I'm very thankful you're on, especially because you have this very inspirational story, not only in sports, but also in your personal life. And you came out with a book, which is also being translated in German. And
yeah, it was translated. It was translated in German. That's the only language it's been translated into, which is, but it's been great.
And, that's what I want to highlight right from the beginning, that there's a book out from you, and for our German listeners, that they can get it in German as well. And I'm going to link to it on the website on flowgrade.de/Jason. Very simple, flowgrade.de/Jason. We'll have the show notes there and the link to your book and your work. So that already up front. And, I came across you, well, back in the day when you were the fittest man on earth. And I kind of want to start with that for people who might not be familiar with your story. I've introduced you in the intro, but you've been in CrossFit very early on. And I want to find out, can you tell me the story, how this passion for the sport developed, how your passion for fitness came about?
Yeah, I mean, so I won the CrossFit Games in 2008. I then competed there eight total times. Was really honored to be back on the podium a few times. And I had a great ride. It was awesome. I got introduced to CrossFit in early 2006. At the time I was working at a traditional gym, working at the front desk and, more of the, elliptical, treadmill, that type of thing. And I was introduced to CrossFit and I really fell in love with this idea of having a coach and a community. So when I graduated from college, I went ahead and I told myself I wanted to go and open a CrossFit gym. And so right when I graduated from college, the CrossFit Games were actually happening. And at the time I was doing like little YouTube battles to other people. It just wasn't as common. Like we didn't have the same tools we have now. And so we were doing like little battles and I was doing okay, but I didn't really expect much. I went to compete because it was actually like relatively close to my home. And, I ended up winning, and that sparked a whole slew of things that would really be a huge part of my life. I mean, up until now. And, I competed in 08, won there, and then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, I got back on the podium again, which was a really cool run. And CrossFit's really been a foundation of who I became and how I learned to overcome adversity. And then, I stopped competing in 2016 for a variety of reasons. But yeah, I got introduced to it, fell in love with this idea of having a coach and a community and racing against the clock. I think that was my favorite part about it, is always having a quantifiable goal.
And, you must have noticed at some point that you have an ability that not very many people have. Like back in the day, the golf coach, Greg Rose, introduced me to the so-called torture gene, that kind of keeps you going when other people stop. Was there a point in your life where you noticed that you had an ability to go like the extra mile in comparison to other athletes?
I didn't really put two and two together until later on in life, that I have a little switch that's just kind of, because the difference between people who could perform well in the gym and perform well on competition is a variety of things, but a lot of it happens in between the ears. And I would push myself really hard in the garage. I mean, really, really hard, because I just wanted to kind of see what my personal limits were. And then when you translate that into sport, Yeah, I don't know what exactly it was, but I mean, I think I had built up a lot of confidence from hours and hours and hours and years and decades of training. And that just kind of came together on the competition floor. But I think what was really important is over the years to recognize to harness your energy towards the things that are most going to benefit you for that particular task. And I think at times it's really easy in life to take your energy and disperse it in directions that aren't in alignment with where you want to go. So in this particular case, I'm talking about trying to win a sporting event, but there's other things like business, right? Am I spending energy worried about something else that has no, that is outside my control and not leading me towards the results that I'm looking for? And I think learning that was a game changer for my ability to perform on the in competition.
Before we dive into the concept that you actually developed, I wanted to ask one more thing. When you won the competition in 2008 and you were considered the fittest man on earth, and many athletes that sort of reached their ultimate goal in their sport, they talk about this moment where they sometimes fall into this hole where they don't know what's next when you've just reached everything that you hope for. When you take me back to that moment when you won, how did that feel for you? Was it something that kept you going, or was there a hole there and you needed to motivate yourself again?
I mean, at the time, it didn't have as much clout as it does in 13 and 14. Like I got more personal joy out of taking third in 2014 than I did in winning in 2008, because I had put so much more work into it by then. In 2008, it was unexpected. I put in a lot of work, but not nearly as much work, as I did in 13 and 14. I'm talking hours and hours and hours a day. And so for me, in 2008, it was kind of like a fluke. I felt like, after I won, I went to In-N-Out Burger and celebrated. It wasn't anything crazy. But then over the years, the sport really developed and grew. And I really recognized it was becoming this big sport. And it wasn't until 13 and 14 that I really felt like I was hitting towards the pinnacles of what I was doing. And in 14, every year I'd have a conversation with my wife and just say, hey, are you ready for another year of commitment? Because at the time, it wasn't just, competing. I also had a family and we had a business, and there was a lot of things going on. And so in 14, after I took that podium spot, that really felt like to me, like, hey, I've given it a great run. It's time to switch to going team. And so I went team the following year instead of individual.
Okay, I see. And during the process, you came up with a concept that also your book is pretty much based on. It's called AMRAP, and maybe for someone who hasn't heard about it, it stands for as many reps as possible. And I actually really resonated with the 5-step process because it really reminded me of the flow cycle. You're the Flowgrade Show right now, and we deal a lot with the state of flow, and it is in some ways similar. But can you take me through the AMRAP concept?
Yeah, thank you. The AMRAP concept was really founded on this theory that I was trying to balance being a world champion and a professional athlete, building a business. At the time, we had quite a few locations, and I had a family, and I just recognized that I wasn't doing anything very well. I was just kind of one foot in, one foot out on everything. I wasn't being present, wasn't being focused on what I was doing, and I needed to segment my day more. And so I thought about, when I was first introduced to CrossFit, this idea of an AMRAP, fighting for as many reps as possible in a given amount of time. Let's just say it's 20 minutes. I never got more work done than I did then. And that's the way I've lived my life since I found CrossFit, is that in my workouts, if it's, hey, I only do as many pushes as you can in 1 minute, I'm going to get more out of that minute than I would if it's just like, oh, let's do a few push-ups. It's calculated. It's racing against the clock. It's trying to get as much work done as you can. It's being present. It's being focused. And so that's really the foundation of the book. It's identifying, what do you want to do and why, right? Because you need to understand that. Otherwise, if it's not built on a strong foundation, it'll break down. Then basically you identify your focus, which whatever it may be, right? For that particular case, you work really hard at it. And then throughout the day, you switch gears. I think that's really important, is that, right now I'm on a podcast with you, then I'll be with my, whatever, I'll be working, and then I'll work out, but I'm segmenting my day into parts. So I'm getting the most beneficial, most bang for my buck, most potent expression of my time, because I'm AMRAPing each facet instead of being podcasting with you and on my phone over here. I'm just being present and focused with you, so that I never have to regret, oh, did I do the best I could on that podcast? Did I do this? I lived my life for a very long time, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'd be on the assault bike or the bike, whatever I'd be on a bike doing intervals and taking conference calls with Asia. And I'd always ask myself when I finished that call, did I really do the best I could on the call? And did I do the best I could on the intervals? And more times than not, it was no to both. So I might as well just segment them out and give my all in each area. And that's really what AMRAP mentality is about segmenting your day, prioritizing, focusing, and working hard at it.
I think the beautiful thing about this is that you can not only use it in a fitness context, but you can translate it to pretty much every aspect in life, as far as I understand. And you do it in business, you do it in fitness.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, fitness is the easiest one, right? That's the easy one. Set a clock for 20 minutes, do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 squats for 20 minutes, and you'll be pretty gassed, right? Like if you really push hard. It's when it comes to business that becomes a little bit tougher. You're AMRAPing your emails, you're AMRAPing your focus, you're AMRAPing your conversations. And then with family, it's the same thing. You're sitting down to dinner, be present, be focused. And, the mindset really laid a great framework for me. I've been blessed to accomplish quite a bit in the sport of CrossFit, but I think what it gave me more than anything is that this mindset to be able to overcome some adversity. And I think incorporating the AMRAP mentality is a really great way to build hedges and build strong relationships and, really get the most out of your day you can.
Right now, we find ourselves in our conversation in a situation that is very new to many people. And maybe we have some listeners now who hear this, who listen to this, months in advance in the future, and they look back and this has all gone. People can go outside again anymore. But right now we find ourselves in this crazy world where people are forced to stay home. They need to find new routines. They can't go to work. They can't go meet friends in a beer garden or in a cafe or an In-N-Out burger, which is actually my favorite place in California. But whenever I go there, I always go there first. So is there something that you could recommend, and maybe by what you've been through now, because you're in the same situation, how people can go about defining new goals for their fitness, for their daily routines?
Well, I mean, I think it just starts off with like this whole concept of better is better. And I think that what's really tough, and I've owned gyms for a very long time, and I've had more people than I could possibly count who are like massively overweight and out of shape, let's just say. And they come in, something motivated them that day, something. Maybe it's this podcast, maybe it's whatever. And they go into the gym, or maybe they're at home. They're like, I'm going cold turkey. I'm no soda, eating paleo, and I'm working out, every single day. And more times than not, after a month, they just get burnt out. And so I think what the secret is to developing a routine is to make it something that's consistent. And so even if right now you can just make the commitment, hey, I'm going to remove soda, let's just say, right? Or, hey, every day I'm going to walk for 10 minutes outside. Start there. And then from there, you could always build. But I think what's really important is to earn your confidence. And I think for anybody that is interested in this theory and they want to improve a certain area in their life, earning the confidence to build a foundation on is really important. And what I mean by that is, if you could tell yourself, hey, for the next 30 days, I'm going to walk 3 days a week for 10 minutes. That's the foundation. Well, once you accomplish that goal, you've earned that confidence. You're going to feel a lot better because you can lean on that past experience. And then for the next 30 days, maybe you give yourself a new goal that builds on that goal. And before you know it, you've now built up a really beautiful framework. And I think that's what's really important, is give yourself really easy goals, really, really easy. So you can earn your confidence, and then it builds on. And, I've done that as a professional athlete, as, a father, husband, you name it. I mean, just try and give myself really realistic goals so I feel a sense of accomplishment, and then I can build from there.
Is there something that you notice in your clients that, that a lot of people believe to be right, but that's wrong about fitness or going about their work?
I think more is better is a false impression. I think, like I said, better is better, but that's kind of like a stupid phrase. What I mean by that is that anything you're doing better to improve your health for tomorrow is better than it was today. And you don't need a lot of time in the gym. You need a lot of effort in the gym. And I think that's a hugely misleading stigma, is that going on an elliptical for an hour is the way to develop peak fitness. The way to develop peak fitness is give yourself a 10, 15-minute running clock and work really hard at that particular time. And then start there. And you'll get so much bang for your buck. And just using movements that are just foundational in nature, squatting, lifting, pressing, do those for 10, 15 minutes as hard as you can and build on that foundation. And you'll get such better results than almost anything else out there.
All right, thank you. There's actually a saying, it just came to my mind, that Charles Poliquin always said, which is he has this one advice that he gives to everybody, but only about 70% of people follow it, or they use it, or they can't use it. Is there a piece of advice that you have that you usually give to everybody, but doesn't work for everybody?
No, I mean, I think everybody's comes from different circumstances with different life experiences. And I don't expect anybody to ever understand fully how anybody else can get triggered by certain things, because we all come to the table with preconceived notions and a different background. I have different life experiences than you do. You were raised different than me. I think that the secret is to meet people where they're at and have a beautiful conversation with them and be compassionate and be understanding and provide them tools to help them get to where they want to go. But I think if people don't know where they want to go, that's the first problem. So people don't identify what are their goals, what are they trying to get to, what's the game, and what is the timeline for that game. Hey, maybe for the next 90 days I want to do X, Y, Z. Okay, cool. That now you know the game. Now how are we going to play to win? And that's really what we talk about a lot with our members is, what are you trying to accomplish? Because maybe for you might want to lose weight, but for someone else, they might want to gain strength or whatever. And so now all of a sudden I'm not aligning. I need to align your expectations and your goals with the advice and the game plan that we create together. That's really important.
All right. Thank you. I want to switch gears now and talk a little bit about the state of flow, because as I mentioned before, it reminds me a little bit of that concept where, an athlete or also a writer or a musician can get over the hump, sort of meet the obstacle, get over it, and then get into that state where he or she loses him or herself in the moment, in the activity. And from your point of view, what does the concept of flow mean for you, and how do you get in it?
I think like the flow state for me, especially like when it comes to cardiovascular stuff, is really easy to get into for me. So if you're on a stationary bike and you're kind of grinding it out, or if you're on whatever, if you're running, it's easier for me to identify a flow state there than it is for actually in like dumbbell workouts or barbell workouts, because you're having a thought process more. But I think what the flow state is for me is finding your euphoria. And maybe maybe this is my impression, right? This is my perspective, is nothing makes me feel as good from the energy I get and the stress relief I receive than when you get in a really great flow state workout. And that's what I look at it as. It's not necessarily like it's this high you get into, but you could get it from a variety of different things in fitness. But when you're done, the energy you feel, the sense of accomplishment that I receive, that to me means I was in that flow state. But it's probably different than the way you probably think about it. But that to me is the way at first thought, that's what goes through my mind.
That's actually the beautiful thing about the flow state. Everyone has a concept of it, but it's very different for different people. And it's, might be different for a snowboarder who is carving his line in the snow, or for a musician who's playing. It's similar, but in ways. I've talked to some neuroscientists. They also observed that the brain waves actually are different in different flow states. So there is flow science, but they haven't really figured it out. And that's why I'm always interested in hearing about different ideas of what it
Yeah.
means to you.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that actually. Now that you mentioned what you just said, there's times where you Olympic weightlift and when your positions just feel on, and when you hit a really complex lift and you stick it, it's like a moment of euphoria, and you didn't even know what you just did. You've just done it so many times, right? That your body just does it. You're not telling yourself, okay, stay over the bar, pull the bar in your hips, jump, shrug, pull, whatever. Your body's just engineered to do it. And when you land it, you don't even know how you got there, but you got there. That's a really good example of it too.
That was an excellent quote. I'm actually going to cut that out and put some music under it and use it as a flow quote from you. What you just said. That was really great.
Yeah.
What do you do when you sort of have an opposite day, like a total non-flow day, when you're feeling stressed? Do you have a go-to move, a go-to activity that you go to deal with that?
The easy answer is working out. I mean, as of recently, we've shut down 18 of our locations globally. We have a lot of staff that have been displaced, and it's a big issue, right? And I'd be lying to you if I told you I haven't been stressed these last couple weeks. I mean, I'm in a better place now than I was, but the reality is that I've had to go through a variety of stressful, adverse situations in my life, and I think the way you get through it is by creating micro goals throughout the day and prioritizing what's important to get accomplished in the near future, right? And then taking what's in your control and really focusing on that, and reminding yourself that, like, one of my SEAL buddies, Navy SEAL buddies, he always tell you, like, that the timer won't stop. Like, this will eventually end. This challenging situation will eventually end. Time will continue on. And I think that that's something important when you're going through something really challenging, to take a step back, prioritize your goals, recognize what's in your control, and recognize that it will get better. Time will heal certain things. That's helped me.
I totally believe that too. I think what helps me as well is that right now the whole world is affected by this. And the only way to get through it is to work together. There's not one group that is affected. There are some people that are more affected. For example, you and your business, because you are really in a location where people go to, and they're prevented from going there right now, which is really, I can imagine, really tough.
It is, but from a business perspective, it's helped us pivot big time. So, we've had an online program that we've given to gym owners for a lot of years. We have business to business tools. So we have a bunch of gyms that use our programs, but we really haven't gone after the end consumer. But now we are, because we have this knowledge base we've built up over a decade in the gym, and we really haven't pushed online programs to the end consumer where we should have. And now this is a really great opportunity for us to do that. And so it's already something we've already put into action. And, I think we're putting out, in my opinion, the world's best, on-the-go workouts, this set of dumbbells. And it's what I do every day. And this situation led us to here.
This is actually a great example of how you can turn a crisis into an opportunity.
Yeah.
And make something of it. I noticed the same thing with lots of my friends who are personal trainers, and finally, dare to do something online, have a live workout session with their customers, which they wanted to do, like what you just described. Excellent. Jason, I have a couple more questions from readers. Sure. Actually, I asked our community if they had some questions for you, and I have some from them. And then I have another couple of short rapid fire questions for you. That's fine.
All good.
So one great question from a reader actually was, what is the craziest thing that you have tried in terms of a workout technique that has worked for you but is not necessarily proven scientifically?
I mean, that's a aggressive, craziest. I wouldn't really say anything crazy. I would say that,
or unusual, maybe a bit better word.
Yeah. Traditionally in Olympic weightlifting, you want to keep your arms long to get the maximum potential you can out of your hip. That's like a overarching theme across everybody, keeping your arms long, using what's called core to extremities. So use your big hip and then you use your arm after. That's like basics 101, right? It's like throwing a punch and using your arm before you use your hip. But for me, what helped me put the bar into my hip better was pulling with my arm early to place the bar in a better position on my hip. So that's something that works for me that isn't traditionally well known. It's for a variety of reasons, basically because of body limits and things like that. I recognize that me pulling the bar into my hip versus keeping my arms long made a big difference for me, and that was something I incorporated. So that's not very crazy, but that's an example of where you have these fundamental baseline judgments in fitness, like core to extremity, this and that, and sometimes you have to break them based on the movement and a variety of other things.
Okay, thanks. Next question. What is if you could only recommend one exercise from now on to every one of your clients, which exercise would you recommend?
If I had to recommend, I can only do one forever.
This is the question. Yeah, we can maybe add another one.
All right. If I can only do one forever, I would do a burpee. Okay. Because statistically, communities that learn to get to the floor and come back up again, the elderly have a less likely issues with falling because they learn how to go to the floor and get back up again, which I think is a very important life skill. Plus, the burpee done slow can be a little bit more like eccentric loading. The burpee done fast can be a little bit more aerobic. So I think there's a lot of value there. The other one would be a thruster, using a barbell or a dumbbell, full squat and press overhead. It just packs a punch. It's the biggest bang for your buck. There's nothing better, period. I mean, so I'd say those two, but if I only had one, I'd say the burpee, primarily for its foundational ability to help me from today in my 30s to when I'm in my, hopefully 80s and 90s crushing it.
That was actually a very impressive video where you, I think, competed against Rich Froning in a thrusting.
And pull up. Yeah.
That was insane. We link to that as well in the show notes. All right, next question. What is your preferred method of regeneration?
In terms of cellular, what gets me?
For example, do you like to jump into an ice bath, or do you prefer a massage, or do you have something that your go-to regeneration method?
So I used to, as about a month ago, we sold our house, which our timing was pretty interesting. At my old house, I had a sauna and a cold plunge. At our new property, we don't have that yet. So I guess as of now, it's just getting really sweaty, working out, and taking a shower. But I do love the hot cold. And I want to get back to that. I'm not a big massage guy. I'm not a big massage guy. I think deep tissue work is very, very important and very valuable. But I don't go for relaxing massages at all.
Do you use the black roll or anything like that?
Like a roller?
To roll out your
Yeah, I'll use a roller. Sometimes I use a Theragun on some of the parts. Rollers, Theragun, lacrosse balls, those are pretty common things for me. And then especially if I have big issues, most of the time it could always be solved by deep tissue work. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that I thought that I was really messed up, really, really messed up. And all it was just some deep tissue work that needed to get done. It's crazy. That right there just boggles my mind. How I thought, I went to, Kelly Starrett, right?
Yeah, he was in the podcast already twice. Yeah.
I went to him one time and I'm like, bro, I am messed up. I was like, I can't lift my arm. I'm messed up. I'm broken. I need surgery. He's like, Jason, I just watched you a month ago compete at the CrossFit Games. You're perfectly fine. We need you to do this. And I think a lot of it is, a lot of what's helped me is deep tissue work.
All right, that's great. Yeah, because I think it always comes and goes with deep tissue work. I mean, people do it for a while, and then I have a black roll here. I should do it a bit more. I'm a tall guy. I'm about 6'7", basketball player, lower back issues, obviously knee issues. I should roll out way more.
Yeah, the IT band, all that stuff. It makes a big difference.
The last question from the readers is, what do you consider the most important stretching exercises?
I mean, this is going to be, a very, this is going to be an answer that's pretty basic, but I would say utilizing like functional range of motion in warm-ups before exercises. So those are things like squats, 6-part burpees, lunges. Those for me, like holding a deep squat, I found more value doing that than any, real static pigeon pose type thing for me. I want to identify positions that I have a tough time in and then hold those positions and fight for it, whether that's an overhead squat and, an air squat or any combination of the above.
Actually, that just reminds me that there was one more question before, which I haven't written down, which is your least favorite exercise in CrossFit?
I mean, least favorite, just the one that I just dislike doing the most is a pistol squat. I don't like it. It hurts my knees. It's just, if I never had to do another pistol again, I wouldn't.
Okay, good. No, I think that's exactly the answer that person was looking for. All right, now I have a couple more questions, and then I want to mention your book again, and then
let's do it.
I release you into your isolation again.
Yeah.
What is a quality? I know you have 2 kids. What is a quality that you want your kids to always remember about you?
To remain humble and positive, and that I worked really hard. I think those are qualities that can take you a long way. Is hopefully hopefully when they think of like qualities that I have, is that I was hardworking and I was always humble and I always treated people, the right way. I think that's really, really important for me, is the kids to see that, the way you treat people will never forget that, right? They never forget the way you make them feel. And I think that's really important.
Great answer. Thank you. What do you believe in, even though you cannot prove it?
Karma. Yeah.
What do you mean by karma?
Yeah, like what goes around comes around. Like the universe has a really unique way of providing to those that are supportive of others, and if you do people wrong, it will eventually come back around to get you. I think that goes in alignment with what I said before, always treating people right. And yeah, I think that's really important.
I asked to explain it because I actually also believe in karma. I really believe that, your intention also matters, what you do. And even if the outcome might be the same as if you didn't have the intention, but if you intend to do something good for other people, and it works out, that adds to your karma balance. If, like in comparison, if you do something without the intention, but it still has the same effect, it's not the same. So yeah, I do believe that as well. All right. And so my last and final question for you is, what are 3 things that you want to achieve personally or in your business in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, the short answer, the short answer is I want to reach my potential. And that's a very, very vague statement. And I think what it comes down to is there's a lot of opportunities right now. And, I know there is. It's identifying the right one and then sitting back a year from now and saying, hey, we're reaching our potential towards the goals we're establishing. I don't know exactly what those goals are, honestly. everything is so up in the air with the coronavirus and what's going on. We had slated to open up new gyms and whatnot. I still want to do those things, but it has to make sense. And I think what the secret is to establish goals that are right now, right? Like we're just playing catch up right now. And then I want to be able to look back a year from now and say that I made the best decisions possible to reach our potential a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And that goes not only from a business perspective, but a family position, because you never know where life's going to take you. But if you always do the best you can to put yourself in the best position every day I'm asking myself, am I doing the best I can to put myself in the best position to reach my potential as a husband, as a father, as a business owner? Then I guess I'm on my track for my 3 and 5 year goals. I don't have business specific goals today, except for to build something that reaches our potential, because it's so up in the air, right? I don't want to guide myself on a decision and say, hey, I want to open up 20 brick and mortar locations. But maybe this is a sign that we need to pivot towards more digital, right? And so by pigeonholing ourselves over here, maybe we're not going to see the forest of the trees and go over this direction. And, with the family, it's just really just being able to, support my wife 100%, always be, by her side on everything we do from a philanthropic perspective. And then, obviously the same thing goes to my kids. Be a good, be the best dad I can be. It's a lot of pressure.
I can imagine. I have no kids, not yet, but aiming for it. And really respect you for.
It's a huge blessing, man. It's a blessing. It really is. It makes you a better human because these guys are watching. They're watching and they're seeing what you do, and they know the way you're acting, and they hold you accountable. So I'm all's good.
Thank you, Jason. At this point, thank you very much. You're a great inspiration. I really appreciate you and your work and what you've done, and that you took the time to speak to me in these times. I think this was very valuable. You have a great book that came out. I've read it. I think it's amazing. There's a personal story in there that we haven't touched in this podcast, but I leave it to the readers to find out about it, which is a personal story that you overcome. It's a big challenge involving your family. It's in the book. And the AMRAP concept is a wonderful thing. I think everybody can use it. The book is called AMRAP. I'll link to it on the show notes, obviously, but I forgot the German name right now.
I think it's like Das AMRAP.
Das AMRAP. I think it is.
Yeah.
So AMRAP stands for as many reps as possible. Jason Khalipa, thank you very much for being on the show.
All right. Thank you for having me. I hope you have a great day.